Taoism is one of the most unique philosophies in the world, not only because of its depth and simplicity, but also because of its radically different approach to understanding life, nature, and existence itself. Unlike other philosophical traditions that seek rigid definitions, structured systems, or definitive answers, Taoism embraces the fluid, changing nature of reality. It does not impose dogma, nor does it dictate a single path to enlightenment. Instead, it observes the natural flow of the universe, called the Tao, and teaches individuals how to align with it rather than resist it. This alone sets Taoism apart from nearly every other philosophy in the world. At its core, Taoism is based on the concept of the Tao, which is often translated as the Way. However, the Tao is not a deity, nor is it a force with human-like intentions. It is simply the natural order of the universe, an ever-present reality that is beyond human comprehension. Laozi, the legendary founder of Taoism and the author of the Tao Te Ching, famously stated, "The Tao that can be spoken is not the eternal Tao." This statement captures one of the most unique aspects of Taoism, its recognition that ultimate truth cannot be put into words. Unlike Western philosophy, which often seeks to define truth through reason, argument, and dialectic, Taoism acknowledges the limitations of human language and intellect. Any attempt to grasp the Tao intellectually results in missing the point entirely. The philosophy of Taoism is deeply rooted in observation rather than abstraction. It looks to nature for wisdom rather than human-made systems of thought. The Tao is seen in the effortless flow of water, the silent growth of trees, and the cyclical patterns of the seasons. It teaches that nature does not struggle to be what it is. It simply is. Water does not resist obstacles, nor does it force its way. It simply flows around them, adapting effortlessly. This is the principle of Wu Wei, which is one of the most revolutionary ideas in Taoism. Wu Wei is often misunderstood as an action, but in reality, it means effortless action or non-forcing. It is not about passivity, but about aligning oneself with the natural rhythms of life rather than forcing things to happen. This stands in stark contrast to many Western philosophies, which emphasize control, struggle, and domination over nature. Another fundamental aspect of Taoism is its dualistic yet complementary view of existence, represented by the concept of yin and yang. Unlike dualities in many other traditions, where good and evil, light and dark, or right and wrong are set in opposition, Taoism sees these forces as interdependent and necessary. There is no absolute good or absolute bad. Everything contains a bit of its opposite, and balance is the key. Yin is associated with qualities such as darkness, receptivity, and passivity, while yang represents light, activity, and forcefulness. However, neither is superior to the other. Instead, they exist in a dynamic relationship, constantly shifting and transforming. This view challenges the rigid moral binaries often found in other philosophical and religious traditions. Taoism also has a distinctive perspective on knowledge and wisdom. Unlike the Socratic or Confucian traditions, which emphasize learning through study, argument, and structured thought, Taoism values a form of wisdom that comes from direct experience and intuition. The sage does not accumulate knowledge in the conventional sense, but instead unlearns artificial distinctions and concepts that cloud true understanding. The Tao Te Ching repeatedly warns against excessive reliance on words, logic, and systems of thought. It suggests that the more we try to control and categorize reality, the further we drift from true wisdom. This is one of the reasons why Taoism has historically been associated with a kind of paradoxical simplicity. Its greatest truths often sound deceptively simple, yet they point to something profound. One of the most unique and radical implications of Taoism is its view on governance and leadership. While many political philosophies focus on creating laws, structures, and enforcement mechanisms, Taoism takes a completely different approach. Laozi suggests that the best ruler is one who governs least, allowing people to live naturally rather than controlling them through excessive rules and punishments. In the Tao Te Ching, he writes, "When the people are not afraid of death, why threaten them with death?" This philosophy stands in stark contrast to both legalistic and authoritarian traditions, which assume that order must be imposed. Taoism suggests that true harmony emerges when people are left to follow their natural inclinations rather than being forced into artificial structures. Another radical aspect of Taoism is its attitude toward life and death. Many philosophies and religions see death as something to be feared, a transition to another realm, or an event that requires preparation. Taoism, however, treats death as nothing more than another transformation, no different from the changing seasons or the falling of leaves. Life and death are simply two aspects of the same natural process, and neither is to be clung to or resisted. This perspective removes the existential fear that plagues many people and instead encourages a deep acceptance of the way things are. This is why Taoist sages often appear calm, indifferent to misfortune, and detached from the anxieties that burden most people. Taoism also challenges the very way we think about progress, ambition, and achievement. Many cultures encourage individuals to strive, to compete, to push forward in pursuit of goals. Taoism questions whether this constant striving actually leads to fulfillment. It suggests that many of our ambitions are artificial, created by society rather than by nature. Instead of endlessly chasing after status, wealth, or power, the Taoist sage finds contentment in simplicity and harmony. This is not the same as nihilism or rejecting progress altogether, but rather a call to examine whether our efforts are truly aligned with the natural way of things. Often, the greatest fulfillment comes not from grasping, but from letting go. Taoism's influence extends beyond philosophy into practical applications such as medicine, martial arts, and even environmentalism. Traditional Chinese medicine, for instance, is deeply rooted in Taoist principles, focusing on balance, energy flow, and working with the body's natural rhythms rather than simply attacking illness. Similarly, Taoist martial arts, such as Tai Chi, emphasize fluidity, balance, and using an opponent's force against them rather than meeting force with force. Even modern ecological thought shares parallels with Taoism, as it recognizes the interdependence of all things and the importance of living in harmony with nature rather than trying to conquer it. Despite its profound wisdom, Taoism has often been misunderstood, particularly by those who try to systematize it into rigid doctrines. But at its heart, Taoism resists being confined to definitions. It is not a set of rules, a strict belief system, or a dogmatic path. It is a way of seeing, a way of being, and a way of flowing with life rather than against it. In a world that is obsessed with control, complexity, and struggle, Taoism offers a radically different perspective, one that teaches simplicity, acceptance, and effortless harmony with the universe. Taoism remains one of the most unique philosophies in the world because it does not seek to impose structure, but instead teaches us to see the structure that already exists in nature. It does not strive for control, but reveals the power of letting go. It does not dictate answers, but encourages us to embrace the mystery of existence. In its quiet, unassuming way, Taoism challenges some of the deepest assumptions we hold about life. And in doing so, it offers a path to true freedom, one that is always present, always accessible, and as natural as the flow of a river.